Howdy, folks. It's your friend Max Mogren reporting live for you from beautiful Alpine, Wyoming. This is Wake Up Wyoming for September 10th, 2017 here at Wake Up News. Of course, tomorrow, the anniversary of September 11th, the greatest false flag attack ever perpetuated against the American people by the American government. So get your memes ready. Here in the culture war, it is very important that we take advantage of this opportunity to set the record straight. Although arguably, if we're talking about false flag attacks, perhaps Hurricane Irma and Harvey could be the greatest false flag attack in American history. Of course, Harvey thought to be the most expensive natural disaster of all time, but we live in the era of weather modification. We live in the era of geoengineering. If you go online and do a Google News search for geoengineering, you'll find 28,000 mainstream articles on the topic, yet most environmental organizations don't touch it. Geoengineering always proposed as a potential solution to climate change, perhaps a way to mitigate climate change, such a funny word. But the bottom line is that the military-industrial complex has the capability to manipulate the climate. Okay, can't stress that enough. Which prompts the obvious question that we asked a few days ago here on Wake Up Wyoming: why aren't these storms being weakened and sent back out to sea? If you didn't see that video, check it out, or check out wakeupnews.net, where that video, along with supporting source materials, excerpts from a lot of old books confirming the existence of these technologies decades ago, is available for your reading and viewing enjoyment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Muharreen Ari Khan, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing great today too. Thank you so much. Good day, Angie Eagle. All of you, really appreciate all your comments, your likes, your shares. We have 100 viewers today. And that lead story there was Irma geoengineered. I'm of the opinion that all of our weather is being engineered. Even what we know about, aside from covert programs, according to the World Meteorological Organization in 2013, there are 42 countries with a national level weather modification program openly admitted. That alone is going to drastically screw up the weather. Then there are hundreds of other private corporations, individual citizens all over the world playing with the weather too. And on top of that, we see the real disturbing, lingering, spreading trails in the sky almost every day. Some people say, oh, that's geoengineering. Some people say that's chemtrails. I use both terms interchangeably. We got some people out there saying, don't use chemtrails anymore. The term has been labeled a conspiracy theory, and therefore you shouldn't use it. But if I stopped using the word chemtrails, I'd have to make a new sign. And, saying geoengineering causes climate change is not as fun or as smooth as saying chemtrails cause climate change. So spread the word, my friends. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Call it geoengineering, call it chemtrails, call it stratospheric aerosols, call it HARP, call it NEXRAD, call it whatever you want to. But the bottom line is we have the technology to manipulate the weather and climate. So these hurricanes should be sent back out to sea, or at least weakened to the point where they're not the most expensive and destructive disasters in American history. Irma, currently battering Miami, looks like it's forecast to make its way right up the coast of Florida, causing a whole lot of damage. So horrible to see that. Horrible, horrible, horrible to see that. Moving on to our second headline. Kind of funny here in Jackson Hole, we have a forest fire. The West is on fire. Okay, the huge forest fires in Oregon, Idaho, and Montana mostly. Jackson Hole just had a fire start the other day. Ironically, it was started by an old fire truck. These guys were trying to jumpstart an old fire truck on their property, and it sent a spark out into the dry grass, kicking off a forest fire. So to all you out there, please, if you're going to play with fire, do so responsibly. Probably a good idea not to play with fire at all in the West when these drought conditions, horrible high-pressure systems, unprecedented, well, not unprecedented, but a drought, a lot of heat. It's not a good time to be playing with fireworks or anything. Here in Alpine, Wyoming, our biggest building used to be a fireworks warehouse. Now it's the award-winning Melvin Brewery, but we still have the fireworks warehouse too. I think that says a lot about Alpine, that the two largest buildings in town are a kick-ass brewery and a fireworks warehouse. But so yeah, the big news in Jackson: forest fire started. Another big story out of Jackson Hole: this piece of shit Forrest Stearns, who is accused of abusing and killing his animals in such a way where he could potentially collect insurance money off their deaths, is allowed to keep his animals while he's going through trial. Real disturbing. Social media broke that story. Important to note the utter importance of social media these days. We got a headline we'll cover a little later today that 2/3 of American adults get their news from social media. That's coming from NBC or ABC or somebody. I got it in the phone here. But we'll get to that later. But can't stress it enough, especially with 9/11 tomorrow. My friends, get your memes ready. Get ready to spread the truth. It's a great opportunity on the 16th anniversary of the false flag attack of 9/11, used to justify the endless war of terror all over the world. Let's spread the truth. Let's keep it going out there, right? On the topic of 9/11, going back to Irma and 9/11, there is so much evidence out there for anybody who wants to see it, whether it's architects and engineers for 9/11 truth. You know, there are so many great videos, so many great articles, scientific analysis. The whole world knows that 9/11 was an inside job, right? All the evidence is out there. And on the topic of geoengineering, chemtrails, that sort of thing, all the evidence is out there too, right? If you are not aware of these things, you have to be willfully ignorant, or you have to read only the mainstream media's coverage on these topics, because it is so blatantly obvious that, one, 9/11 was an inside job, and that, two, we live in an era where these massive climate and weather modification technologies do exist. So, you know, let's help set the record straight. We got 216 viewers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your comments. I'd love to read them, and I will after the article or after I'm done with the video today. Jackson Hole Daily, as usual. I love looking at this paper because it services the wealthiest county per capita in North America. Today's weekend edition, 72 pages. As usual, it's about 70% advertising, 20% fluff, and 10% news. Okay, we're going to get into it. You know, big thing to say about the mainstream media: it's a colossal waste of paper. It's a colossal waste of trees. I don't advocate picking up the newspaper. Certainly don't buy a newspaper. You know, get your news online. Get it from folks like us here at Wake Up News. But I like looking at it because you're able to see what the mainstream's doing. And again, because this paper, which is actually a pretty decent paper as far as mainstream sources go, services the wealthiest county per capita. Of course, here in Jackson Hole, the average American citizen, the average resident of the wealthiest county in the United States, is just squeaking by, same as everywhere else. It's a macrocosm or a microcosm of a macro problem, where all the wealth has been funneled up into the hands of the 1%, the 0.1%, while the rest of us are getting, so to speak, fucked over and out. But let's get right into it. Uranium mishaps in Cheyenne. A Wyoming uranium mine halted some operations following 2 spills of water tainted with relatively low levels of radioactive element, including one spill that was among the biggest on record for the industry in the top uranium-producing state. Okay, Wyoming, big coal, big uranium. Mineral extraction is the biggest pillar of the economy. But sad to see, they spilled 200,000 gallons on August 18th, followed by a 10,000-gallon spill Tuesday. But don't worry, folks, they were able to slop up 3,000 of those gallons with a vacuum truck. Just how much uranium was released down there? Pre-trial turbis. Oh, that's Stearns. I guess it's all on the cover there. No, it's on page 8. You know, they poo-poo it. They don't really tell you the concentrations until you read deeper into it. The U.S. EPA uranium limit for public water systems is 0.03 parts per million, or 40 times less than 0.12 parts per million, which was in some of the water. But samples from the August 18th spill showed 24 parts per million of uranium. Okay, that's a lot of uranium. You wouldn't want to drink that water. So if you live in that area down by Lost Creek Mine, 70 miles northeast of Rock Springs, just a heads up, you know, I wouldn't want to be downwind of that as that shit is evaporating and going up into the atmosphere. That's for sure. Really interesting opinion pieces here today by Timothy Egan in the New York Times. He's going after the right wing, how the far right cultivated a love for hippie food. Okay, really interesting, really inflammatory comment. Okay, Taylor Coombs saying it's lit. Have fun with that, Taylor. Have fun, have fun. But this is really funny. You know, this is a prime example of how absurd the opinion sections are in the mainstream media today. He, in between rants about how KKK members are just Jewish actors, InfoWars conspiracy theorist Alex Jones sells an exhaustive line of strange food. His market is preppers. People have been preparing for the end for some time. His website urges fellow knuckle draggers to secure your food independence with his organic-sounding Patriot Pantry. From fluoride-free mouthwash or the better to secure precious bodily fluids, one assumes, to Strawberry Fields cream of wheat, he assures his followers that his non-GMO meals have a 25-year shelf life, plus no added MSG. So, you know, I don't follow Alex Jones, but, you know, they're making fun of, this whole article is making fun of people for being preppers, for trying to be prepared for uncertain times, which is probably a pretty good idea in the world today. I know I'm all prepped out. You know, shit hits the fan. I don't know if I'm going to be okay, but I'm certainly going to be better off than most people, and I hope you all have at least a couple of months' worth of food stored up in your house, you know, bullets, beans, and bullion, so to speak. But, you know, yeah, they're making fun of the far right. They're equating the far right with neo-Nazis, as usual, and they're making fun of us. I'm not far right, but they're making fun of the prepper community, people who care about having, you know, organic food, healthy food, which I strongly, strongly recommend, right? There's a damn good reason why a good loaf of organic bread that isn't sprayed with glyphosate, isn't genetically modified, costs $5, whereas you can get a loaf of Wonder Bread for $1 that's going to kill your ass. And then here, Lenore Skenazy telling us there's no difference between GMO foods and normal foods, okay? If you haven't tried, you know, please take care of yourselves. Please try to eat as healthy as you can. I can't stress that enough. I got turned on to the organic food thing several years ago, and I'm feeling much smarter, healthier, and happier because of it. Strongly recommend you go organic. Vote with your dollars, you know, as much as you can. I'm not perfect. I'm not, you know, none of us, I imagine most of us watching this, the 200 of you watching this, we're not rich people, right? I live in the wealthiest, well, I don't live in the wealthiest county per capita anymore. I live 30 miles south because I got forced out by economic factors. But I encourage all of you to eat as healthy as possible. Take care of yourselves as best as you can with the resources you have available to you. Over on the wakeupnews.net website on the homepage, we've posted that How to Survive Depopulation, 11 Affordable Suggestions video. If you haven't seen that or you haven't considered those things, strongly recommend it, okay? David Levy chiming in, Alex Jones is Bill Hicks. I don't know about that. Kurt Mausbach chiming in, I became aware of geoengineering from InfoWars. Okay, again, I don't mean to bash on Alex Jones too much. I don't mean to bash on Dane Wigington from geoengineering too much. But at the same time, in my opinion, guys like both of them, you know, today Dane is live with Alex on his site, and they're talking about Hurricane Irma. But in my opinion, both those guys are fear mongers, and both those guys, in my opinion, now you can form your own opinion. You don't have to believe with me. You don't have to agree with me on everything. You don't have to believe what I say. Research things for yourself. But I think they're both fear mongers, and I think that they're both controlled opposition. Okay, it's just my opinion, but I've got reasons for it, and I'd be happy to explain them to you. But instead, we're going to get into the news right now. Okay, so yeah, they're making fun of the GMO thing. Political cartoon here about Equifax today. I don't know if any of you have been following the Equifax situation, but if you've ever checked your credit with them or you've ever done business with them, it might be a good idea to take a good look at your accounts, make sure that the hack, which actually occurred quite a while ago, is not affecting you directly. Wolf Street reporting today, the worst U.S. consumer data hack ever. Equifax finally confesses. Your data was likely stolen. Go to wolfstreet.com to check this out. Here's what you can do to protect yourself after the hack, and Equifax doesn't want you to do it. Equifax, as a consumer credit bureau, collects financial credit and other data on every U.S. consumer. It has names, birthdays, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, mortgage data, and payment history data, including to utilities, wireless service providers, and the like. It collects data on bank balances, loan balances, credit card purchases, and myriad personal details. It has massive digital dossiers on every consumer in the U.S. and in some other countries. Okay, so it's a big deal. And it sells this data to other companies, such as banks, credit card companies, car dealerships, retailers, and others, as a routine part of its business model. That's how it makes money. But when somebody breaks in and steals this data without paying Equifax for it, well, that's a huge deal. And it was. Turns out Equifax got hacked. No, not today. Today, a couple days ago, I think it was Thursday, it was disclosed that it had been discovered on July 29th, 6 weeks ago, that it had been hacked sometime between mid-May through July. Equifax doesn't know. And the key data on 143 million U.S. consumers was stolen. Okay, there's 300 million Americans, so you got about a 50-50 chance that they took your information too. There was no need to notify consumers right away because they're screwed anyway, but it gave executives enough time to sell $2 worth of shares between the discovery of the hack and today, when it crashed 13% in late trading. Okay, Equifax waited 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks. The hack happened sometime between mid-May and July. CNBC reporting 3 Equifax executives sold $2 million worth of shares days after the cyber attack. 3 Equifax executives sold shares worth nearly $2 million in the company days after a data breach was discovered, according to filings to the SEC. The company said the trio had no knowledge that an intrusion had occurred at the time they sold their shares. Okay, another funny little headline from CNBC today. Friday, Equifax tweets out Happy Friday one day after their massive data breach was revealed. Okay, so Equifax, I'm probably not going to do too much with that, but it's a good idea to, if you got a credit card or bank account, subscribe for the online fraud alerts. Subscribe for like the consumer protection where you can say, yes, I did make this purchase. Like, no, I didn't buy a Russian mail order bride. So, keep an eye on your shit. The identity theft thing is real, and with this Equifax thing, it's a big deal. 143 million Americans' personal financial data breached, and then they waited 6 weeks to tell us about it. Moving on, we got a fluff. We got lots of ads. Florida braces for Irma. Okay, lots of big news about Irma. Again, we have the technology to steer these storms. We have the technology to weaken these storms. We have the technology to strengthen these storms. We have the technology to cause droughts. We have the technology to cause forest fires, right? Pretty disturbing. We also have the technology to stop all of these things. Lots of news today about Hurricane Irma. I got it all posted at wakeupnews.net. Hurricane Irma threatens to devastate the United States, FEMA chief says. That's ABC News. Bloomberg reporting today, Hurricane Irma's chemical fallout could be worse than Harvey's. If you followed the Harvey situation with the burning chemical plants in Florida, of course, it's natural. Our cities are dirty. They're polluted with tons of chemicals. You have a big storm surge. They're saying there could be as much as a 15-foot storm surge in Miami. Parts of the Miami Financial District, Miami Beach, are underwater right now. And obviously, that water is not very clean as it washes through American cities, American factories, chemical plants, stuff like that. But there's a silver lining about this whole hurricane thing. Surfline reporting today, Hurricane Jose pumping swells to the East Coast and Caribbean. So if any of you are surfers out there, it might be worth, braving the polluted, toxic waters to get your fix of tasty, 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 tasty waves on the East Coast. Get you some, get you some. At the same time, powerful earthquake killing scores in Mexico. Of course, we also have Hurricane Katia battering the east coast of Mexico. It's interesting with these hurricanes. A friend of mine posted a video the other day. Usually they go in alphabetical order, right? As the hurricanes form, they're given names. But Katia is out ahead of Irma. And usually it's H-I-J-K, right? So maybe Katia formed later. Maybe, where did Katia even come from? Kind of a surprise there. Kind of a sleeper. It's interesting here in the United States how we're not really told too much about the news from other countries. At the same time that we have these problems in the U.S., there's record flooding all over Southeast Asia, places like Nepal, India, lots of islands in Southeast Asia. But you don't hear anything about that. I think, I don't know the exact statistic, but it was either 40 million or 60 million people displaced by flooding in Southeast Asia. That's huge. According to the Jackson Hole News and Guide, 5.6 million Floridians told to evacuate due to Irma. Okay, so it's 8 times as many people affected by flooding, not just told to evacuate, but literally houses underwater in Southeast Asia. It's heartbreaking to see. Oh, Hillary pens candid work about loss of 2016 election. In a candid and pointed new book, Hillary Clinton relives her stunning defeat to Donald Trump, admitting to personal mistakes and defending her campaign strategy, even as her return to the stage refocuses attention on a race Democrats still can't believe they lost. Clinton is unsparing in her criticism of Trump and also lays out some of the factors she believes contributed to her loss. Interference from Russian hackers. Okay, first of all, that was a DNC staffer, Seth Rich, who released the emails, and then he got whacked. Rest in peace, Seth Rich. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Clinton supporter either. Two wings of the same bird. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? This is not news. She lost, right? But what is this? It's an ad for Clinton. It's an ad for her book. The mainstream media promoting her book. Interesting to note, she also says a divisive primary battle with Bernie Sanders, and of course she blames her gender. Hillary lost because she's a woman, so says Hillary. Of course, there is sexism, there is racism in this country, so that's very real. But the mainstream media loves to divide us on racial and sexual lines so much. And here's a prime example of that. Important to note, if you supported Bernie Sanders, Bernie got shafted by the Democratic Party just like Ron Paul got shafted by the Republican Party in the last election, right? Bernie had the popular support of the Democratic Party. I'm not saying I support Bernie either, but it's funny how this works, where in the last 2 elections ago, Ron Paul had the popular support of the Republican Party, and he got screwed by his own team. Same thing happened with Bernie in this one. Okay, Trump signs measure on aid debt hike. What's that all about? Well, conveniently, with Hurricane Harvey coming in, $15.3 billion disaster aid package linked to an increase in the nation's borrowing authority. Okay, congressional Republicans are angry about it. But how convenient that the most expensive natural disaster in the history of America, comes weeks before they're scheduled to vote on the debt ceiling increase, right? The government's already operating in the red by far. They're going to up it from 19.9 trillion to 22 trillion up here, and they have to do it because of this hurricane, right? Hurricane Irma, we'll see. That could be even more expensive. But it goes on and on. The aid measure is just the first installment in government spending that could rival or exceed the $110 billion federal response after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. the future aid packages may be more difficult to pass. Okay, important to note, after Hurricane Katrina, most of that aid money did not go to the people. Most of it was funneled off by corporations. I got a great book around here somewhere, The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. Check that out if you never had. It talks about disaster capitalism. One thing my old boss, Mike Rupert, used to always say is we live in an era where it's more profitable to destroy things than to create them, right? Think about that. More profitable to destroy things than to build them or to create them. It's the same with war. War is very profitable if you own Raytheon, if you own Boeing, if you're the government. You justify your own existence through these disasters, right? Whether it's a bomb dropping or a hurricane unusually lingering off the coast of Texas, dropping record-breaking 52 inches of rain in some places. That's good for you if you got the reins of power, right? So that's your national news today from the paper. Interesting article here in the international news. One hospital active in fight for Syria's Raqqa. Okay, really, I don't even know what to make about this, because this article openly admits that the U.S. is bombing Raqqa, supposedly, ostensibly to eliminate ISIS's control over the city, but the U.S. is blowing up this city, right? And at the same time, the U.S.-led coalition described reports of the violence and destruction around the area's healthcare facilities as abhorrent. But the U.S.-led coalition are the ones bombing the hospitals. So it makes no sense. Interesting there, though, they still are perpetuating the lie in the mainstream media that the reason the U.S. is active, right, is bombing. The reason the U.S. is bombing Syria is to knock out ISIS. But in reality, the U.S. has been funding, supporting, training ISIS in their fight against Syria. Okay, it's a proxy enemy. It's a proxy war. The U.S. and ISIS are homeboys. Okay, it makes you wonder who they're really bombing in Raqqa right now, and why they're condemning the abhorrent destruction of healthcare facilities in Raqqa while they're bombing the city. Makes no sense. Let's see, pretty cool art installation. This little kid peering over the U.S.-Mexico border wall. Check that out. It's like a 65-foot high toddler peering over the border wall. Can't stress enough the importance of art. You know, if you're an artist, make some kick-ass art. Make some provocative and shocking artistic or musical or written or video statements of your opinions and share them online. That's all our duty. Again, tomorrow, September 11th, the 16th anniversary of the greatest false flag attack against the American people, not counting weather warfare. So make your voice heard. Get the word out. Let's take advantage of this opportunity to wake some more people up. That's what we're all here for. Thank you for being here. I'm moving along. Got some fluff. We got some full-page ads. This is a good example. You know, they love to bash on Trump. They love divisiveness. They love to divide us based on sex. So this whole article is just Steve Bannon talking. But, of course, it brings up the 2005 video that showed Trump talking with Access Hollywood host Billy Bush about kissing, groping, and trying to have sex with women who were not his wife. Okay? So they're taking this opportunity to bash on Trump again. They love bashing on Trump. It's very divisive. It's very effective to discourage us, to disengage us from the political process by focusing on Trump. This is a 12-year-old video of Trump saying he's going to grab women by the pussy. He probably does stuff like that, but it's not news. It happened 12 years ago. September 11th propaganda. Of course, we're going to see some of that. They're building a church at Ground Zero so people can go reflect. If you live in New York City, why not head on down to Ground Zero tomorrow and spread some truth? Here's your classic page in the Jackson Hole Daily, just selling houses, multi-million-dollar houses. Colossal waste of paper there to keep the local economy rolling along. to keep jacking up real estate prices, jacking up property taxes, kicking out the poor people, and bringing in more billionaire tax evaders. In the business section, stocks waver again as energy skids. This is something I don't really understand. Maybe one of you can explain it to me. But we were told that in the wake of Hurricane Harvey, gas prices were going to go through the roof and oil prices were going to go through the roof due to all the losses in refining capacity. But now, energy companies skidded as benchmark U.S. crude skidded $1.61, or 3.3%. That's a lot in a day. To $47.48 a barrel. Brent crude, used to price international oils, lost 71 cents, or 1.3%, to $53.78 a barrel in London. So why are oil prices dropping at a time when at the same time the media is telling us that oil should be going up due to all these Texas refineries taken offline? What else is new? They're saying the next couple of months are going to be pretty cloudy, Chalupnik said. That's David Chalupnik, head of equities at Nuveen Asset Management. He said insurance companies, cruise lines, and oil refiners based in the Gulf Coast or Southeast could take losses, and bad debt at credit card companies will increase. And since the hurricanes will push the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates lower for a bit longer, that will hurt banks by keeping interest rates low on loans, okay? So perhaps the Fed's scheduled collapsing of our economy is being pushed back again. Can't stress that enough when we're in the business news, that the Federal Reserve, the global economy, the financial system is kind of like a big casino, and the Federal Reserve is the house. The house always wins. Wouldn't it be great if you and I could start our own little business where we created a currency and then we just loaned it into existence, charged interest on it, charged fees on it, and forced people to use it? Well, that's what they do. It's a private, profit-driven banking cartel. I can't stress it enough. It's not part of the federal government. It didn't exist until 1913 when, as G. Edward Griffin wrote in his book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, the creature from Jekyll Island was born. And at the same time, the IRS was formed, the income tax. So if you don't know much about the Federal Reserve, the banking system, strongly encourage you to read The Creature from Jekyll Island or check out Bill Still's excellent videos, the Oz series. It's all about Oz. Really good. But there's your business news. Shady business from Uber. If you haven't followed Uber, or if you ever use Uber, I would kind of recommend Lyft. Uber tracking of Lyft drivers probed. Long story short, Uber set up these apps where they could engage in some corporate espionage and track Lyft drivers, and actually trying to recruit drivers away from Lyft by using incentives. So they're going to court. We'll see what happens there. But that's the news there. Horoscopes, we're going to do those at the end of the video. I know you all love the horoscopes section, so I'm going to read them all. I'm going to read every one of them at the end of this video. So if you tune in just for the horoscopes, go to the end of the video, pop back 5 minutes, and we'll do them. Not much else of interest in here. A lot of fluff. It's amazing how so many pages, so many trees can be killed, and so little information is actually shared. Kurt Mosbach timing in. Kurt, your comments are awesome today. There was a hurricane 300 miles off the coast of New York City on the day of 9/11, and not one mention of it in the mainstream. You're absolutely right. It's interesting, right? Really disturbing stuff. What's the other thing? Somebody can tell me. I forget. How many dollars did the Pentagon report missing the day before 9/11? Was it 2.3 trillion? It was in the trillions, but I don't remember how much. If somebody can throw that in the comments, I would really appreciate that, because it's good that we got to arm ourselves with reliable facts, reliable statistics, so we can be informed and spread the message. Wow, there we go. David Levy chiming in 2.3 trillion. Michael Palmer chiming in Bitcoin. It's a good point. We do have the opportunity to start our own currency today. Of course, they're cryptocurrencies, and it's hard to say whether or not these cryptocurrencies are the solution to the problem or a Trojan horse, the next stage in, control, right? I personally think that we need a sound money that's backed by a tangible asset. Silver would be a good one because silver is the most electrically conductive and disinfecting metal, right? It's the most useful metal. Back to the Wizard of Oz. In the original book, if you read the Wizard of Oz, the whole Wizard of Oz story is actually a poignant social commentary on the financial system, on the Great Depression, right? You got Dorothy, her world in Kansas is turned upside down, and she has to trace her way following the yellow brick road, the gold brick road, to Emerald City, which is the New York Stock Exchange, to figure out what's going on. And in the original book, she didn't have ruby slippers. Okay, her slippers are silver, and they're silver slippers because the point the book was trying to make through this roundabout way, back in an era when things moved slower and you had the time to write a whole novel of social commentary, by clicking her silver slippers together, which was to signify a silver-backed currency, that was her way to get home. Okay, so yeah, check out Bill Still's work on Oz. Vaccines. 2 scientists who paved the way for widely used vaccines and another who discovered key players in cell growth have been awarded prestigious medical research awards. The Albert and Mary Lasker Foundation also announced Wednesday that it was giving a public service award to Planned Parenthood. Each award includes a $250,000 honorarium. The foundation's Clinical Research Award is shared by Dr. Douglas Lowry and John Schiller of the U.S. National Cancer Institute. In the early 90s, they began work that would eventually lead to vaccines against human papillomavirus, or HPV. Let's go with HPV, which causes cervical cancer and some other cancers. They show that a particular viral protein could provoke a strong immune response against the virus. Okay, the HPV vaccine, super controversial thing. I know a lot of women, some ex-girlfriends of mine got the HPV vaccine. I've heard stories of people dying from it. Personally, I'm not really big on vaccines, and I've read a lot about vaccines, so you should too. Know what you're getting put into your body. Not all vaccines are bad, but some of them are, and I've read some disturbing shit about the HPV vaccine, but the guys who founded it get to split a cool $250K for being such good scientists. Of course, the Planned Parenthood getting $250K too. So that's interesting. Planned Parenthood, if you looked into the whole eugenics thing, that's worth checking out. The history of Planned Parenthood, the history of the eugenics movement. Arguably, people should have the resources and the choice to, abort a pregnancy or get birth control and things, but there's conflicting opinions on what Planned Parenthood's really all about. Then we're into the arts and entertainment. Of course, you need a full page of TV listings. Get your TV fix on, folks. Why pay attention to what's going on in the world? Why watch a show like this if you can just zone out in front of the boob tube, right? And then we're into classifieds here in the Jackson Hole Daily. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of 7 pages of classified ads looking for workers. Of course, there are no affordable places to live. Renting a room in Jackson is going to cost you at least $1,000 a month. Meanwhile, most of these jobs pay between $10 and $20 an hour. Nothing funny in the comics today. Then we're into sports. Of course, there's no shortage of sports, the greatest distraction of all time. One thing I will say, though, one of the reasons I love Jackson Hole, I'm always bashing on parts of the town, but we got a lot of people here who care a lot of people with a lot of money and influence. Here's a great example, the Environmental Health Trust, located in Teton Village, Wyoming. Did you know you can reduce your exposure to microwave radiation by keeping your cell phone away from your body and brain? Okay, the Environmental Health Trust, one of the few organizations in this country that is attempting to protect American citizens from the dangers of electromagnetic pollution, of electrosmog, and of, well, they're not really as conspiratorial as me, but the potential that these programs, whether it's the smart meters rolled out across the country or the 5G microwave cell phone network being rolled out across the country, that these things could be used as mind control devices, could be used to create a public health disaster. If you doubt the veracity of those claims, I got another good book around here somewhere that I can't recommend enough. The Body Electric, published in 1985, written by award-winning medical researcher, pioneering physician Robert O. Becker, MD. It's still the #1 selling book in the field of electromedicine, 32 years after it was written. So if you want a good read, check that one out. Especially check out the chapter entitled Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Bang, bang. Right? And then we're done with the paper. It's enough of that. So mainstream news. Again, we're going to get to horoscopes at the end of the show today. But let me get into the... Zach Coons chiming in. Sorry. So now I'm going to get into the news. Zach, thanks for the message. I keep forgetting to announce that. I'm going to announce it right now, that we need a new logo at Wake Up News. Badly. In fact, we got a website now. We need your help with web design. If you are a graphic designer, you're a web designer, you like formatting websites, if you like making the text on websites look super professional and everything, and dealing with all the behind the scenes work on a website, please hit me up, because we need your help. We also need help with graphic design, whether it's for featured stories or a new logo, especially a new logo. If you look at our page, it's funny, we haven't updated our cover image since Chelsea Manning was Bradley Manning. Okay? We haven't, and our logo, a lot of people are like, are you guys Illuminati? Are you Illuminati? Why do you have the all-seeing eye? Why do you have the pyramid symbol on your website? Well, I can explain why. It's because we haven't found anything better to replace it with yet. And that old logo created by Wake Up News founder Zachary Coons, it's a kick-ass logo. A little more fear-mongery than we might want to promote, I think. But it's supposed to symbolize that the news, if you look at it closely, you can see the news is in like the prison, okay? The news is controlled by the all-seeing eye. We're all in sort of a precursor to the FEMA camp civilization, and it encourages people quite boldly to wake up. So if you want to help us out with a new logo, we can make it worth your while. We can probably figure out a way to work together for a mutually beneficial relationship. Maybe I don't think anybody is going to get rich off of Wake Up News anytime soon, nor do we really want to. We're here to share information. We do this for the love. But more news. I hope you don't mind me reading news, because I got a lot of it here on the phone today. These shows get a little long, but that's what it is. It's media research. It's research and analysis of the mainstream media. Charles Hugh Smith of Two Minds, brilliant writer, came out with a great article yesterday. The real reason wages have stagnated. Our economy is optimized for financialization. Again, all these articles are posted on wakeupnews.net. In the new article, where I will also be posting this video, Wake Up Wyoming for 9/10/17. Labor's share of the national income is in free fall as a direct result of the optimization of financialization. The Achilles heel of our socio-economic system is the secular stagnation of earned income, i.e. wages and salaries. Stagnating wages undermine every aspect of our economy: consumption, credit, taxation, and perhaps most importantly, the unspoken social contract that the benefits of productivity and increasing wealth will be distributed widely, if not fairly. This chart shows that labor's declining share of the national income is not a recent problem, but a 45-year trend. Despite occasional counter-trend blips, labor, that is earnings from labor employment, has seen its share of the economy plummet regardless of the political or economic environment. Okay, back in 1970, about 51% of GDP was wages and salaries. In 2015, when this chart was posted, it was down to 43%. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. Wages and salaries as a percentage of GDP, up around 51% in 1970. Now in 2015, around 43%. You can see that chart on wakeupnews.net. NBC News reporting, Americans are split on whether a 4-year college degree is worth the cost. Americans are becoming more skeptical that a 4-year college education is worth the cost. A new poll from NBC News and the Wall Street Journal finds. The National Survey of Social Trends, which was conducted August 5th through 9th, found that 49% of Americans agreed with the statement that a 4-year degree is worth the cost because people have a better chance to get a good job and earn more money over their lifetime. But about the same share, 47% of people interviewed, said that a degree is not worth the cost because people often graduate without specific job skills and with a large amount of debt to pay off. When pollsters polled a similar question in June 2013, 53% of Americans said that a 4-year degree was worth the cost, while just 40% said that it was not. So we got about a 50-50 spread now. College, student loans are a scam. So many people are getting caught in debt, right? Modern day slaves are not in chains, they're in debt, okay? College could be the most kick-ass thing ever. You can learn so much, but why is it so damn expensive, right? Luckily, we have the internet. Luckily, we have people like you watching this video, paying attention, trying to figure things out. Pew Research reporting 5 facts about millennial households. Okay, millennials. It turns out, I found out from Pew Research, I'm technically a millennial. Isn't that great? I feel younger already. I'm right on the cusp between a millennial and a Gen Xer. Apparently, if you were 35 in 2016, you're a millennial. I'm 36 now. So I feel younger. I feel better already. Probably going to get me some skinny jeans, go the whole hipster route, and just, go for it. But 5 facts about millennial households. More millennial households are in poverty than households headed by any other generation. Number 2, millennial households dominate the ranks of the nation's renters. Number 3, about half of cohabiting couple households are headed by a millennial, meaning millennials are not getting married like previous generations. It's funny, for people from the greatest generation, World War II, the greatest generation, of course, bombing Europe into oblivion, nuking Japan, that makes them the greatest generation in the eyes of the mainstream. I don't think we've seen the greatest generation of Americans yet. And the greatest generation back in the 30s and 40s and 50s were very brainwashed. They were very susceptible to propaganda. If you've never had a chance to read an old newspaper from World War II, I strongly recommend you do that, because to see what they passed off as the news back then is disturbing. It makes the news these days look damn near good. But number 4, in 2016, millennials for the first time surpassed all other generations in number of household heads who were single mothers. Okay, lots of single mothers in the millennial generation. Of course, I don't know. I think kids need a couple parents around, whether they're both male, both female, but I think kids need a lot, to raise a kid right, they need a whole family. They need a whole village of people looking out for their best interest, not just one person. So anything you can do to help out a kid or a single mother or single father, do it. Be that uncle, be that Unky Max or Unky Daniel or whoever you are, and take the reins. Try to do what you can to help out single mothers, kids who aren't coming from the best households. We can all do that to some extent. Number 5, among heads of households, millennials in 2016 became the generation with the largest number identifying as multiracial. So lots of multiracial households and millennials. I don't think that's a problem. That might be the silver lining. CNBC reporting today, the incredible falling dollar. The greenback hits a new 2017 low. The dollar skidded to new lows against a basket of rival currencies on Friday. So it came out yesterday. And some strategists see further downside ahead for the currency that's already lost nearly 11% of its value this year. The dollar index hit its lowest level since January 2015 in early Thursday trading. blah, blah, blah. As the likelihood appears to dwindle that the Federal Reserve will hike its federal funds target rate later this year, as inflation remains tepid and political drama swirls in Washington, so too has the relative value of the dollar. Okay, CNBC blowing a little smoke up our ass with the notion that inflation remains tepid. I don't know if you've gone grocery shopping anytime soon, but shit is expensive. Inflation much higher than the 2% they report. Zero Hedge reporting expats don't want to live in the U.S. and UK anymore. That's a little long. Jacobin Magazine has a great report out on infrastructure spending and why the U.S. is falling apart. Back in the 60s and 70s, we spent about 3%. We invested, I should say. The U.S. invested about 3% of GDP into civilian public infrastructure. Now it's less than 0.5%. Okay, I got a great little chart there, compliments of the Jacobin Institute. You can see back in the 60s and 70s, it peaked out around 3%. Now we're below 1%, closer to 0.5% of spending on infrastructure. Sad. It's in my headlines today. Plastic particles found in most tap water globally. This is kind of disturbing. A good reason to remind ourselves to filter the water we drink. Or, I don't want to really recommend bottled water since it's such a waste. It actually creates the plastic that we're finding in the water supply over the world. But it's so important. It's covered in the Just Survive Depopulation video too. The importance of filtering the water we drink. Drink distilled water, add minerals to taste. But plastic particles found in most tap water samples across the globe, with an average of 83% of samples harboring plastic. The U.S. fared the worst, with a whopping contamination rate of 94%. That's 94% of the tap water tested in the U.S. coming back confirmed with microplastics. Okay, and it's not like the samples were taken from sketchy locations. Plastic fibers were found in tap water coming from places like Congress buildings, the U.S. EPA headquarters, and Trump Tower in New York. So pretty cool study there. They're taking tap water from Trump Tower and testing it for plastic. The scale of global microplastic contamination is only starting to become clear, with studies in Germany finding fibers and fragments in all of the 24 beer brands they tested, as well as in honey and sugar. In Paris in 2015, researchers discovered microplastic falling from the air, which they estimated deposits 3 to 10 tons of fibers in the city every year, and that is also present in the air in people's homes. Okay, a lot of shit falling from the sky these days. So important to, filter our air if we can, filter the water we drink, and take the best care of ourselves possible. Your life matters. Your health matters. If you don't have health, you got nothing. So do everything you can to take care of yourselves, please. And speaking of taking care of yourselves, the UPI reporting, can't afford a dentist, you're not alone. I haven't been to the dentist in, 15 years. Still doing all right. And it's funny, once I stopped brushing my teeth with fluoride, all my little brown spots on my teeth went away. Now they're looking good. If you want your teeth to look at it, you got brown spots on your teeth. Maybe you're drinking too much coffee. Maybe you're smoking too many cigarettes. But odds are it's fluorosis from too much fluoride. So cut the fluoride out, my friends. Nobody loves a trip to the dentist, but for many middle-aged Americans, even basic dental care is now financially out of reach, a new poll finds. In fact, 28% don't have dental insurance, while 56% don't get dental care except for serious dental problems, researchers said. Even more troubling is that 51% of people surveyed said they didn't know how they will get dental insurance after they turn 65. 51% of Americans, said lead researcher Erica Solway. She's a senior project manager at the University of Michigan Institute for Healthcare Policy and Innovation. Okay? So take care of your teeth. I'm going to try to take care of mine too. And avoid, if your teeth don't hurt, I don't know if you need to go to the dentist. Then we're into the Equifax coverage. Here's a good one. Market Watch reporting today. Facebook, our dear friends Facebook, thank you so much for hosting our show. Facebook, if you could let people see the shares, if you could let people, if you could not squash us from ever going viral, I'd certainly appreciate that. And so would our audience too. It's important to note to all of you, we love when you share our videos. We love when you share our articles. But it's shocking. When I go through, I like to thank people that share once in a while. And most of them won't have a single like. Sometimes a page that has 10,000 fans, like who was it? SoCal Skywatch shared my video the other day. No likes. They got thousands and thousands and thousands of fans, but not a single person liked it. I don't think anybody saw it, but whatever. Market Watch, Facebook accused of fake audience numbers. Facebook Incorporated claims its ads have the potential to reach more people than a recent U.S. Census data shows exist. And that's troublesome for one analyst who thinks third-party measurement services stand to benefit. Recently, Pivotal Research Group analyst Brian Weiser was intrigued by a trade publication study in Australia that said Facebook, down 1.3% today, was claiming to reach 1.7 million more 16 to 39-year-olds than actually existed in the country, according to Australian census data. And reproducing the study in the U.S., Weiser said Facebook's ads manager claims it could potentially reach 41 million 18 to 24-year-olds, 60 million 25 to 34-year-olds, and 61 million 35 to 49-year-olds. The problem arises when Weiser pulls up U.S. Census data from a year ago, showing 31 million in the 18 to 24 category, 45 million in the 25 to 34 category, and 61 million in the 35 to 49 category. Okay, so Facebook saying they can reach 10 million more 18 to 24-year-old Americans than actually exist. And for the 25 to 40-year-olds, they're saying they can reach 15 million more Americans than actually exist. So Facebook, get your numbers straight. Not everybody is subscribed to Facebook. A lot of us spend way too much time on it, but it's the best way to reach an audience these days. But anyway, Facebook, yeah. Defense One, reporting you can protest but can't hide from government facial recognition for much longer. They're talking about how wearing hats and sunglasses and stuff might not work to stymie facial recognition software much longer. On a similar topic, the whole Antifa thing, I'd say if you're going to protest, if you're going to go out and do it, don't dehumanize yourself by wearing a mask. The people, every time I've been at a protest, you see people wearing masks and ski goggles, carrying baseball bats and stuff. What are they doing there? Like, what's the whole black bloc tactic? If you want to get down and dirty and do violent stuff, do it on your own. Don't do it at somebody else's protest. And the closing headline here today, Reuters, 2/3 of American adults get news from social media. About 2/3 of American adults are getting at least some of their news on social media, with 2 in 10 doing so very often, according to a Pew Research Center survey this week. About 67% of American adults somewhat rely on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat for news, the survey showed, compared to 62% last year. That's a 5% increase in 1 year, according to a Pew Research poll. That's huge. That's huge. For the first time in the center surveys, the research also found that 55% of American adults over 50 were consuming news on social media sites, up from 45% in 2016. So 10% increase there. It's pretty cool to see. The mainstream media is a dying beast. Okay, the notion of killing all these trees, wasting all this paper, spreading all this disinformation and distractions is dying. Newspapers are dying, and frankly, good riddance, because the whole point of a newspaper is to inform people. But if the newspaper is 70% advertising, 20% fluff, and 10% highly biased news, largely coming out of the Associated Prostitutes, what's it worth? Nothing. Except the horoscopes. I know y'all love the horoscopes, so I'm going to read them all. Again, thank you all for being here. I don't really put too much stock into the horoscopes, but it is what it is. A great comment from Ralph Shelton there. You know, we talked about health a lot on the wakeupnews.net page. We got that How to Survive Depopulation video up now. I strongly recommend you send that to your loved ones. Let them know. I put that thing out about 4 years ago, and it's my most viewed video on YouTube. 200,000 views, 180-some thousand views, hoping to hit 200,000. But I shortened it, edited it, made it better, and put it up on wakeupnews.net. Ralph Shelton chiming in, give Dr. Bronner's toothpaste a try. It's the shit. Dr. Bronner's products are the shit. Whether it's their coconut oil, their soaps, their shampoos, their toothpaste, you know, this stuff is all natural. It's good for you. And if you ever read the Dr. Bronner's bottle, it's pretty on point. You know, it's a company, it's like a family company that was founded by a guy, Dr. Bronner. People thought he was crazy. He was put into an insane asylum back in the 50s. There's a kick-ass documentary about Dr. Bronner's. Zach or anybody, Ralph, whoever, if you can drop a link to that into the comments there. It's such a good documentary, but I can't remember for the life of me the name of it right now. But yeah, you know, hey, Dr. Bronner's, how about you sponsor Wake Up News? We'll support you. But we're getting into the horoscopes today. Again, I'm going to read them all because then nobody misses out. Aries, 3-star day. Someone could let you know how much you are valued. This person has no expectation that you respond in kind. This simply is how he or she feels. Others start to share and be more vulnerable than they have been in months. Get into this moment. There is little guarantee that it is forever. Tonight, all smiles. Taurus, that's me, the bull, April 27th. I'm having a 4-star day. I can feel it. You express a willingness to get into the moment this afternoon. Others often expect you to hold back and decide to do what you want. You flow with the moment and what is occurring. Others appreciate your efforts. I appreciate all you tuning in. Tonight, beam in more of what you want. Go for it. Do not hesitate. All right, horoscope, I'm going to take you up on that. Gemini, you're having a 3-star day. You could be ready to take a stand, but it appears that you, of all signs, don't have a receptive audience. Lie low and remain prepared to handle any hassle that might come forward. You don't need to share a plan, but you might want some help or a brainstorming session. Tonight, make it early. There's always tomorrow. Cancer, you're having a 3-star day. You could be full of get up and go. Focus on accomplishing what you must in order to free yourself up. Midday, you notice a change in your tone. Friends seek you out, and getting together with others often seems to be highlighted. Let go of a recent hassle and get into the fun of the moment. Tonight, where the action is. Leo, I know a few Leos out there that tear me apart inside. You're having 4-star days, Leos. Make calls in the morning. You are likely to get an interesting response. Stay on top of what is happening. Don't sell yourself short. You have the ability to think and sift through different ways of understanding. In the afternoon, you assume your natural role as a communicator. Tonight, be aware of someone's expectations. Virgo, 4-star day. You might have a hard conversation with a loved one or dear associate. This person could be very important to you, but at the moment, he or she could be quite demanding. Detach and understand what is really ailing this person. Tonight, Virgos, go exotic. Libra, you're having a 4-star day. Others see you in a different way once you break out of your current mood. Someone's sudden action or impulsiveness sends you into a state of concern. You might want to come to terms with the volatility that hanging out with this person brings. Tonight, all smiles. Scorpio, 4-star day. Scorps, what's up, Karen J. Bud? I hope you tuned in. Here we go, hon. You could be more uptight than you realize. An unexpected development stemming from someone's actions could set off an argument. Study the situation for what it offers. You might want to loosen up and get some exercise. Tonight, go for an escape, Karen and all you other Scorps. Sag, Zach, you're a Sag, right? Sagittarius, 4-star day for you, Mr. Coons. Your fiery spirit and willingness at times to charge into a wild situation comes out. Have fun with that. Whether learning a new sport or getting to know an interesting new group of people, it offers excitement and a lot to consider. Anger could pop up from out of nowhere when reflecting on your past. Tonight, know when to call it a night. Capricorn, you're having a 5-star day. Reflect on the possibilities and what you would most like to do. An unusually creative person intrigues you. If you can, make plans around this person and spend more time getting to know him or her. Tonight, pretend you are a kid again. So you Caps, you got the only 5-star day in the whole show today. Enjoy it. Aquarius, 4-star day. Allow more feedback and suggestions from a friend or neighbor. Approaching a situation from a new point of view produces unusual feedback. Catch up on errands and phone calls in the morning. You could be surprised by some friends in the afternoon. Tonight, the action surrounds you. And Pisces, wrapping it up, 4-star day for you fish people. Balance your budget and pay bills before you think about a purchase or planning a major expenditure. You want to build from a strong point of security. You have much more to offer than you realize. Tonight, join friends at a favorite haunt. And we might as well read it. Born today, actor Hugh Grant, 1960. Author, the famous Russian author Leo Tolstoy, writer of War and Peace, other kick-ass books, 1822. And singer-songwriter Otis Redding, 1941, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and other classic hits. Just so you know, in case you like these horoscopes, again, I'm no astrologer. I just read the paper, and people ask for the scopes, so I do them. These are from Jacqueline Begar on the internet at jacquelinebegar.com, right there. See that? JacquelineBegar.com. Copyright 2017, King Feature Syndicate Incorporated. So, that's your news today, folks. That's Wake Up Wyoming. We covered Irma. We covered the old fire truck, ironically starting a wildfire in Jackson Hole. Hopefully the firefighters put it out. Please do. We talked about the New York Times and the editorials where they're equating the alt-right, the extreme right, the preppers with neo-Nazis and shaming them for eating organic. Kind of absurd. The dollar is at all-time lows. Cryptocurrencies fluctuating. Some are up as much as 88% today. It's the new bucks or something like that. Plastic particles found in most tap water all over the world. The U.S. setting the record there with 94% of samples tested coming up with plastic particles in the water. So filter your water, filter your air, eat organic. Check out our Survive the Population video because we care about you here at Wake Up News. And the good news, 2/3 of American adults get news from social media, and more are waking up to reality every day. Again, tomorrow, 9/11, 16th anniversary. Make your voice heard. Get your memes in order. Get ready to share information. Go out on a street corner, make a kick-ass sign, hold it up that says, inside job. Whatever. Do what you can to get the word out. And again, while we're talking about false flags, while we're talking about Irma, while we're talking about strange things, I can't stress enough, chemtrails cause climate change. Whether you call it geoengineering, chemtrails, whatever, I'm not going to hate on you if you're trying to get the word out on this. Anybody that tells you not to use the chemtrails term anymore, why not? They're spraying things in the atmosphere for a lot of reasons. It's not just geoengineering. And if we all said, oh, don't use the word chemtrails, just talk about geoengineering, the problem with doing that is that anywhere on the internet, in the 28,000 mainstream news articles that come up as when you search for geoengineering on Google News, the 28,000 mainstream news articles all make a very strong point as defining geoengineering as technologies implemented to mitigate climate change. Of course, these are climate changing technologies, so using their terminology, probably not the best idea. Call it weather modification, call it climate modification, call it geoengineering if you want to, but just know that that term has been poisoned by the mainstream. And that's it. Your boy Mog signing off. Much love to all our friends down in Texas and Florida dealing with Harvey. If you got stories, let us know. I saw a few people chime into the comments saying they're web designers, web developers, graphic designers. Please, if you're still watching, PM us. I'll go through there, but there's 174 comments, and I can't stress it enough. Some of the comments don't show up. Your comments get filtered out. It's super frustrating, especially when I'm live trying to interact with the audience. And sometimes Like somebody might make 10 awesome comments on the video, but I won't see any of them during the live broadcast. So that's just the way the algorithms on Facebook work. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for your likes. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your shares. Again, if you really want to share this with people, send it to them in a private message. Send it to them in an email, because odds are if you just post it to your wall, not that many people are going to see it. Post it in your groups, post it in PMs. By all means, share it to your wall, but take that extra step if you really think what we're doing here is worthwhile. I know it's a long show. I know it's not the most exciting thing on the internet, but I can't stress enough how much I and the rest of the team here at Wake Up News appreciate you tuning in. It's your boy Mog here in beautiful Alpine, Wyoming, where the two largest buildings are a brewery and a fireworks warehouse. I'm signing off for the day. I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine. The smoke has finally dissipated a bit. I'm going to get some exercise, do some reading, talk to some friends, eat healthy, and, stay aware and optimistic. Y'all take care. One love. Peace.